Welcome back to Prospect Watch, presented to you by the Rookie HQ. And we're here to do what we always do. And we're going to talk to you today about one of these rising wide receivers in the class. Now, I was told that this class wasn't any good, so I don't know how we could be finding gems like this. But today we're going to talk about Tennessee wide receiver Chris Brazzell. Now, Chris Brazzell is an NFL legacy player. His dad played 9 years in the league after being drafted by the Jets out of a Division II program. And we're talking about a guy. Chris Brazzell goes 6'5", 200 pounds, and he's got when you watch him play, he's got the long speed that will just definitively scare you. And you would think that, yes, it's a Tennessee receiver. If you immediately helmet scout, then yes, you're going to think that this is something that he's just your next. He's this year's Dante Thornton. He's Jalen Hyatt. We're not going to shade Cedric Tillman because Cedric Tillman might actually be good. You know, share that opinion with whoever, but we're talking about a guy with a unique skill set. So you have a big, tall, fast, rangy wide receiver that gets in and out of his breaks like a much smaller human. So I started this off not being the biggest not being the biggest Chris Brazzell II fan. And as I dove more into the film and I stopped just looking at what wasn't there, what is there are some really, really fun traits that could definitely translate to Sundays. The first of which being his ability to get in and out of breaks at 6'5" and 200 pounds. He moves like a much smaller man. His ability to throttle to get into to step on a DB's toes and threaten their blind spot and make them have to make decisions under duress. I think that that's one of the rarest abilities in terms of being able to create separation. And he was able to do that. I mean, no wide receiver in this 2026 class generated more first downs than Chris Brazzell did this year. No wide receiver had a higher passer rating when targeted than Chris Brazzell did this year. And so the problem though is that you don't have him running a myriad of routes. He's running a few routes. He's going to run a curl. He only lined up 24 snaps in the slot. He's going to line up as far outside and as close to the numbers as possible, which then leads us to the fact that he could get pushed out of bounds sometimes just due to alignment mismanagement. But you also have really cool plays like against the University of Kentucky where he's trying to the defender is doing what he's taught to do, and he's using the sideline as an extra defender. And he's trying to push him out of bounds. And Chris Brazzell uses said length and play strength to fight down the sideline and make an awesome over the shoulder catch up against the boundary. He does some really neat things up against the boundary. And not only that, he's got like I said, I started this all off saying his ability to separate. So against man this year, he was at 2.05 yards per route run. He's got 3 seasons above 2 yards per route run in total. Against zone this year, he was over 3 yards per route run. So he has a feel for settling down in zones. Like I said, he's going to run a curl. He's going to run a go ball, and he's going to run posts every now and then. So you have the prototypical Tennessee usage, but this is not your everyday Tennessee wide receiver. So when we're looking at the draft capital right now, I mean, he's projected to be a day 2 pick, second, third round. I think that he moves very similarly to guys that I've absolutely told you guys that I'm in love with before in Jaden Higgins and Trey Harris. And I think that this is going to work. I think that he's going to be the Tennessee wide receiver that will actually be able to translate, have his game be meaningful and relevant for our fantasy game. Josh Heupel might have finally got him one with Chris Brazzell II. Now, the problem is we have to talk about ceiling and landing spot. So as far as his ceiling goes, he reminds me so much of Adonai Mitchell. And Adonai Mitchell has consistently been one of the best separators when he's given the opportunity. He does really cool things when he gets the ball in his hands. It's just that sometimes he does some not so cool things with the ball in his hands. And that literally ended him up on the Jets. Hey, get well soon. He's going to be a player. But so you have all of the traits of a guy who could be very, very productive. We just haven't seen it quite happen yet. With Jaden Higgins had a very strong rookie year. Very similar mover. I would even say from a long speed perspective, he's faster than what I think Jaden Higgins was, and Jaden Higgins ran a 4.47. So you have a guy who I think is going to test in the low 4.4s, potentially even touch 4.3, who plays the ball in the air, who is able to win at the catch point because of said gigantic catch radius and his frame in general, and his ability to get in and out of breaks as a guy at 6'5". You don't typically see that. You don't see these guys able to run whip routes like he did at the University of Tulane. You don't see them be able to, you don't see tall, lanky guys able to just change direction with the ability that Chris Brazzell II has. So there's some really aggressive projections there, but also we've got to talk about like the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. So with Chris Brazzell, we can't assume that just because we didn't see him do certain things that he can't do certain things. You look at the Tulane film, you see him running a whip route on the goal line. By the way, he was all conference AAC before transferring to the University of Tennessee for 2 years. So you had the success in a different uniform, which makes him a little bit even more different than a guy like Dante Thornton. It's not just straight line ability. These things all combine to give you a really aggressive vision about what he could potentially be at the NFL level. So if we're looking at legitimate ceiling, his ceiling is, this is going to sound ridiculous. His ceiling is somewhere around Brian Thomas. If we get it right. If we've got this one right, his ceiling is somewhere around Brian Thomas, and he could be a steal in all of your rookie drafts because of the fact that if it all goes right, it could all absolutely be a smash in every single one of your rookie drafts. He's right there. He's in the middle of the second round right now. The combine's coming up in a few weeks. I think he's going to run a low 4.4 and have close to a 40-inch vertical. And that changes the math a little bit. But the ceiling is someone like Brian Thomas Jr. I'm saying that with a straight face. As someone who did not want to come in and love Chris Brazzell, the ceiling is somewhere around Brian Thomas Jr. The floor is somewhere around Robbie Chosen Anderson. You have to figure these things out. You have to figure out, can he beat physical press man coverage? Is he going to consistently be able to separate at the top of routes if defenders are physical, at the separation point? And is he going to be deployed in a manner in which it allows for all of the skills that are there to be readily apparent whenever he is, stuck or wherever he lands. I'm trying to say, I didn't want to say stuck with a bad coordinator, because we don't know. We know. Shane Waldron, that's for you. But I wanted to just make sure, I want to see him go somewhere where they don't just stick him as the X wide receiver on the line of scrimmage all the time. Give him some free releases, put him in motion. He generated almost 244 yards after the catch this year. So it's a smaller guy's skill set and a bigger guy's body. And I think a lot of that has to do with his father playing receiver in the NFL for 9 years. So if you made it this far, please consider subscribing. Thank you for listening, liking, commenting. If you want to go over to our Megaphone feed and leave a like on that and a 5-star rating as well, it'd be greatly appreciated. And as I always leave you, it's better to be wrong and then right than never right at all. I was wrong about Chris Brazzell. Leave it in the comments. Let me know how you feel about Chris Brazzell II, Tennessee wide receiver, and projected fantasy stud for fantasy football in 2026. Until next time.